this.
Life. Life.
Soon. Alrighty. Let's go. Okay, hello, hello, hello. Hopefully there are people out there. At least I hope so. Got class today. Hmm. It's Monday! Monday, 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 Monday. I hope everybody is doing well today, this fine morning. Go ahead and turn down the music here, just... go. Got it. Very nice, very nice. Hope everybody is doing well here today. Today, starting another rip-roaring week, let me tell you. Another rip-roaring week. Okay. Alright, that'll work. Yeah, that should be plenty of time. Alright. Good stuff. Alright, we're about 10 minutes away from class here. Hopefully everybody just pop in and say hello. Be more than happy to say hello back. No problem. Hopefully everybody's doing really good today. There we go. Get started here in about 10 minutes or so. Meantime, just hang out, relax, and we're gonna get class started for sure. I'll give it a wait. No problem, no problem, no problem. Let's see. Just a little bit. Righty. Okay. Here we go. Hello, hello, hello. Hope I'm coming through. Okay. Oh, I think I am. Alright, that's good. About that. How's everybody doing today? hopefully we'll get things underway fairly soon. Got like 6 more minutes, so got some time to sit and chill, unless you guys want to say whatever. So interesting. Okay. Alrighty. Really Monday? It is Monday. Holy smokes! I have even I have issues this Monday. Oh my lord! Time just goes like, holy cow. Now if I let me check something here. Yeah. Alrighty. Wait, why is that important? Wait, what? But that's not important. See, that's not important. What am I doing? Okay. Um. No, no, we still have that. That's perfectly fine. All right. All right, I'm not going crazy. That's perfectly fine. Hello, Anna. How are you doing? Oh man, I thought I was going crazy. I'm like, wait, we still got class today. It's Monday. Like, I know Easter was yesterday. I'm like, all right, very good. Did you have a wonderful weekend? Doing great? Good, good. I'm doing great as well. I was like, wait a second here. I don't remember any of this, you know? Yeah, it felt a bit weird, I'll tell you that much. Actually, no. Remind me that I'm not absolutely crazy. I mean, I'm crazy, but I'm just not absolutely crazy. Okay? So I promise you, not super crazy. All right, here we go. Good morning, Megan. How are you? Oh man, Anna's like trying to tell me I'm crazy. Megan, I hope you're not about to tell me the same thing, though I have a slight bad feeling that maybe that's the case. I know that Anna's like, yeah, that's true. Oh my God, no. Now, Anna, let's be perfectly clear here. I don't mind if you call me crazy. It's perfectly cool with me. This whole semester's been absolutely bananas. So, Yes, if you want to go ahead and call me whatever you want, it doesn't matter. I would probably agree with you 100%, regardless of if it was criticism or if it was praise. I'm just gonna go with that. I just find that to be significantly easier. I just like, all right, you're that dude. You're that math dude that happens to teach my class. Like, okay, I'm that dude. I'm like, that's not a problem. Ziggy, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. How you doing? Hopefully you are doing well. Oh man, what a morning. I know we're getting off to a little bit of a late start, but we're gonna wait a little bit. We'll have people start trickling in here, and we'll get going here. So maybe it's just because it's Monday. Mondays. Anna knows about Mondays. Megan knows about Mondays. Ziggy knows about Mondays. It's the Mondays. It's Monday. And you're like, I gotta do some math on Monday. I'd be like, yeah, you gotta do some math on Monday. Like, you know how it is. You know how it is. Everybody's gotta do math on Mondays. Mondays and Wednesdays. Oh, man. Can you believe it? We're like a month and a half. We're like almost fully a month and a half away from finishing. Can you believe that? It's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. Almost at the end here. We're going over 9.1 more or 9.2. We're going to go over 9.2 here today. I believe I did all of 9.1 here last time. So, so if I did all of 9.1 here last time, which, yeah, I did. So, we're going to go over section 9.2 here today, which is the end of chapter 9. There's only 2 sections in chapter 9, so we're on a super good pace here, to be fair, Megan. We have like 12 more classes to go, and we have like, I want to say like 6, 7 sections left, so something to that effect. So yeah, we got plenty of time to kind of get stuff done. That I can guarantee you. So we've been at a pretty good pace here for the course of the semester. Again, that's purely by design. So again, giving you plenty of time of which to go over material and whatnot. Be talking about that there closer to the end of the semester. All right. In any case, though, um, by the way, everybody had a good Easter. I hope everybody had a good Easter holiday. Um, you know, I don't know. If you guys went out, I went just to Portillo's yesterday. So I was like, I said I wanted Portillo's, so I went to Portillo's, and I was like, all right, not a problem. Portillo's it was. I hope everybody else had a nice time enjoying with their folks. The weather was super nice this weekend. Absolutely 100%. That's a hey, Kristen. It's a good Easter dinner. You got that right. Got that right. Me and my belly were very satisfied. Saturday was a little rough for me. I'm kind of glad that there was a longer weekend. Um, so just FYI here. All right. So actually, let me do the intro and then I'll let you know here. So let me go ahead and do this intro here. Let's go ahead and do this, and then I'll tell you what happened here over the weekend. So okay, let's get started today. Welcome back to Monday. Hopefully, have a nice weekend. All right. So just to let you know here, on Friday, actually Friday afternoon at noontime, I actually got my second shot for the vaccine. So I got my second vaccine shot. Now, some of you have already gotten the vaccine shot, and that's great. And I'm very happy to hear that. If you did, then I am now in the pool of people who have had gotten both vaccines, both shots of the vaccine, and that is done and dusted. And I'm kind of glad that I had the weekend there because Friday was like, okay, you know, second vaccine shot is supposed to be a little bit worse than the first, and so I asked my sister, said, hey, um, what should I expect? Yeah, so let me just at least tell you here what's going to happen, Kristen. I asked my sister, well, what should I expect after the second shot? She's like, well, you should wait about 12 to 18 hours for something to manifest. And says the body's going to be working the way it needs to, right? It's going to be building up antibodies against COVID. So she's like, well, do expect if you get a fever or you get nausea, if you get a few chills or you get if you get a headache or fatigue, that's perfectly normal for your system. That is just basically trying to create more antibodies and fighting off stuff. So says, all right, that's fine, and I happen to get pretty much most of those. Says if you're not feeling too well, then give yourself some Tylenol. It was stressed, by the way, just to let you know that to take Tylenol. Don't take naproxen or aspirin; those are not very good. All right, so be sure only take Tylenol for the symptoms there. But it's perfectly normal, by the way. So they're very safe. It's supposed to be exactly that's it's supposed to be working as intended in that manner. All right, some people don't have that effect. Some people do, like myself. I gave myself like a day and a half. I felt very fatigued, so I slept a lot, like the past day and a half. But once I got that all out of my system, I was like, okay, now I feel a ton better. And I was like, all right, cool. Now I can move on. So, yeah, it took me like a day and a half. But again, I'm older, so maybe it just takes me a little more time, you know. But if you have, but if you're younger, maybe you just build it up faster, which makes perfect sense. So, you may just have like a full day that you'll need to take away from. You just need to probably schedule yourself a full day away from doing anything when you get that second shot. Yeah, so if you're getting your second shot, all right, make sure you schedule a full day away. And I don't know, everybody's body's constitution is different. If you're getting your first vaccine, think about possibly taking a day off, possibly. Um, you know, uh, I don't know if that, it just depends on how your body reacts to something like that. But definitely for your second one, I would probably think about say, hey, you know what? It's doing what it's intended to do, but it's going to knock me out for the day. So, you know what? That's fair. So, just plan accordingly. I guess is the best way to put it. You might not feel anything, like I said, for the first 12 to 18 hours. You may not feel anything, but you're going to feel it certainly either the next morning or you feel it later that day, depending on when you get the shot. So, just a little FYI for you guys who are getting that soon. Yeah, yeah, they both slept for almost 2 days after they got the second shot. Yeah, I really felt that way. I really felt super tired. So like I got back home when I got my second shot, and I was like kind of a little bit out of it, but I was like, okay. So I stayed awake for a little while, and then suddenly, like in the matter of like a couple hours, I was just like totally wiped, and I was like, I need to go to bed. And then I slept, and then I woke up, and then I slept for another 8 hours after that. It's just like on and off sleep. Like I just felt like I just didn't want to go anywhere. So that's perfectly normal. Perfectly normal. So I'm just giving you guys a heads up here. So yeah, have expectations, and things will happen, and that's perfectly so not a problem. Alrighty. All right. So little PSA, I suppose. Um, always like to give relevant information, but hey, I don't mind being a little guinea pig in that regard. My sister's the real guinea pig. She participated in the trials, but um, yeah. All right. By the way, my sister's been vaccinated since October, so for her it's been like 6 months, and she hasn't felt any effects from the second vaccine forward. So, um, yeah, she's doing perfectly fine. It's been 6 months out, so so far so good. All right. In any case, let's go ahead and start here with what we got to be doing here today. All right, so on the agenda here for today is to finish up chapter 9. We're going to be doing section 9.2 here today. We're going to be dealing with more about confidence intervals. we talked about the basics of confidence intervals last time. All right, when we took a look at, say, again, the confidence level, we took at the sample size, and that was for proportions. Today, we're looking at a different type of confidence interval. All right, and this time here, it's going to have a different context as compared to what we talked about here last week. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the big board here. I want to go to the big board. Oh my god. All right, here we go. All right. So in this case here, I'm going to start off with, you probably have question one here. I'm going to be using question five here will be your question one, right? But this is basically says, how do we construct a confidence interval for the mean when the standard deviation is unknown? Okay, so this is one of those things is that the standard deviation is unknown. I want to actually clarify that here for just a second. With the standard deviation being unknown, what that actually means is that actually reflects here the population standard deviation being unknown. Okay, uh, you can see my chin. It's true. It's true. Oh, it's true. I did shave this morning. Took me a little while, but I did get it done there, cool dad. Absolutely 100%. Got that done. Ziggy says probably not gonna be in class on Wednesday because I'm getting my vaccine all the way in Naperville and I have to be there at 11:30. Okay, that's perfectly fine, Ziggy. Done, man. I totally understand that. Just watch the replay if you need to catch up. Okay, buddy. Totally understand that. Yeah, Naperville's kind of far. Yeah, that's weird. Beards are where it's at. Hey, look. Sometimes I need to shave like 10 years off of my face. Okay, 'cause then everybody says you don't look 41. They're like, oh, you look 33 or 35, whatever. So, good morning, whoever you are. He was here a second ago. The good looking Chibs actually showed up to the stream. All right. the the not great looking Chibs who get stopped at every airport will soon make a return. Give him about a week. Hey man. Oh my. That's why my brother never shaves. He thinks he looks too young. You know what? There's nothing wrong with looking young at times. Okay, it's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. You have to be old enough. You gotta. Yeah. You have to be old enough. It's all good. You have to be a little bit. Feeling a little young isn't too bad. You're like, oh yeah, I remember that time. I remember those days. Fortunately for me, all I have to do is shave off my face and be like, ah, look, I'm right back to normal. I mean, I could go a step further. I could bring back super good looking Chibs. Now, super good looking Chibs is not does not make a very has not made an appearance in a long time. Okay, super amazing good looking Chibs has been stowed away for quite a while. All right, you look for a shag from Scooby Doo. I used to have a goatee back in the day. Um, But a super good looking Chibs is all I have to do is just, here. Super good looking Chibs looks like this. I just have to take off this with everything. See, and then here's super good looking Chibs. You know, maybe with sans the unibrow a little bit. I can't see the screen, guys. I can't even read anything. I need like I need my old contacts back from way back in the day. But I was like, yeah, this is like, a. This is probably all I could really do because I can't even read what's on my monitor here. I can't even read your comments. I can't even read this far in front of my face. So, yeah, that's kind of a problem there. Is that when you cut off your eyebrows? Oh my god, chat alert. You guys are trolls. Glasses and the beard, and I'll die on the hill. Oh, here we go. We got the stand groups forming already. I respect that, and I like it. All right, let's talk about this thing here. I promise you. All right, how do we construct this confidence interval here with decent looking tribs? All right, we're going to use the t interval using appropriate values such as data or stats and the confidence level here. All right, so what we're going to do here is specifically we're going to do a couple things. Now I'm going to go back here for just a second here. Oh, here we go. I got to go to this question here. So we're going to use a what's called a t distribution here in this instance. So this would be question one. Sorry, I got that confused. So this is a type of distribution. What's a t distribution here? The t distribution is what we're going to be discussing here today. And that is going to be a type of distribution that closely resembles the normal distribution that includes what's going to be called n minus 1 degrees of freedom, with the population standard deviation being unknown. Okay, now I want to actually set something right here, and that is this is going to involve what we call degrees of freedom. This won't be the only time we're going to include this idea of degrees of freedom. We'll also see this in chapter 10 as well. All right. But this is a t distribution in terms of an overall value here. So it's going to look similar to a normal distribution, but it's not going to be exactly a normal distribution. So it's not going to be done necessarily in this. It kind of looks close, but it's not quite there. It's very, very close, though. So what are some properties of the t distribution? What makes it different than the normal distribution? Well, the t distribution here, as we find out, is different for different degrees of freedom. So depending on the sample size, the actual curve will actually change depending on the sample size for the t distribution. So unlike the normal distribution, which is a little bit more predictable, the t distribution here is basically going to be different depending on the sample size that you choose. Letter B, the t distribution is centered at 0 and symmetric about 0. So instead of whatever our mean is going to be, we're actually centering it at 0 and then going left to right from there. The area underneath the curve is 1. And as n increases, the density curve of t gets closer to the normal density curve, i.e., as n gets larger, it looks more and more like the normal distribution curve. Not quite, but pretty close. Okay, so what is these degrees of freedom here? So how many degrees of freedom are there for a t distribution? Well, I'll be referencing back to this here once again, but it says the degrees of freedom here is equal to the sample size subtracted by 1. So n minus 1 here is going to be what we call the degrees of freedom. All right, now there are two ways to go ahead and find this confidence interval. Number one, you could find critical values here, which we did discuss here last week. Those critical values can be found again in a table in the back of the book or in a small little table that was in section 9.1. Now, we're not going to be focusing here on this method. We're going to take the shortcut approach, okay? So, again, if we were to use critical values here, you can use table 7 here from the back of the book to determine a manual value. Again, the book doesn't contain all the critical values for all the degrees of freedom. It has a limited table there, and that's perfectly fine. All right, so that's not too big of a deal. Again, we're not going to be using really the critical value here. We're going to be using our calculator in its stead. All right, so I could go through the process here doing it the manual way, but really that's not what we want to be focusing on. Once again here, just like we did it in the last section last week, we want to be focusing on what exactly the interpretation is as opposed to, say, the calculation. But of course, we need to get there first. So, of course, we need to show that off. All right. So how exactly does it work kind of behind the scenes here? I'm going to use what's called the t-interval function here. I'll talk about that here in just a second. Use the appropriate values such as data or stats and the confidence level. And so we can get a margin of error here that is equal to this critical value. That's the notation that you see here of t alpha over 2. I know that looks strange, but we're just going to call that the critical value times s. Remember, s is the sample standard deviation, and divided by the square root of n, which is the sample size. All right, so as was stated here before, the critical value is obtained through the table in the back of the book using degrees of freedom and the confidence level. All right, let's go ahead and do an example. Let's put stuff together and let's see what we get. All right. Alrighty. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do number 28 here. All right, so let's do number 28 as we see here. And let's see what we're working with. All right. Zoom in, por favor. Okay. Is. Oh, fucked. Hey. All right. There we are. The zoom has arrived. All right, so I'm just gonna move that a little to the left. Okay. So, de nada. All right. So let's look at 28 here. Hungry or thirsty? All right. How much time do Americans spend eating or drinking? Suppose for a random sample of 1001 Americans aged 15 or older, the mean amount of time spent eating or drinking per day is 1.22 hours with the standard deviation of 0.65 hours. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look here at just this question here, letter C. That's what we're going to look at here specifically. So C says, determine and interpret the 95% confidence interval for the mean amount of time Americans age 15 or older spend eating and drinking each day. Okay, so let's talk about how to do this step by step here. Let's see what comes out of it. Why not? Because, you know, math reasons. All right. So in this particular case, this being 28, I'm going to use a function in the calculator here. I'm going to use, why I put this? We're going to use a function in the calculator here that's called t-interval. All right. So I'm going to use t-interval here because this is going to be a t-distribution type of interval. Now, for us to get t-interval to show up here, let's go ahead and get our calculator out. And let's use this guy here. All right. Let's do it, my fellow nerds. All right. All right, so to get t-interval to show up on your screen here, what we're going to do here first is we're going to go ahead and hit the stat key here. All right, and we're going to go over to tests. All right, so hit the stat key and scroll over to tests. Now, if we want to find what we're looking for here, we want to go down to number 8. Number 8 says t-interval. So that's going to be our guy here for this lesson. But we want to find the confidence interval with is going to be number 8. Let's hit enter on that. All right. Now, what you're going to see here, I'm not a nerd, I'm a geek. Get it right. All right. Listen. Listen to me very carefully, Ziggy. Ziggy, let me culture you on something. Okay? If you're an otaku, then you're an otaku, and nerd and geek essentially mean the same thing in that regard. You're just fine. I don't have a problem with either. But I apologize if I have offended you in any which way. You can post something to Twitter, and I'll just frankly ignore it anyway. I know you're messing with me. You're a nerd, but not a geek. You're a weeb. I got no problem with that. Taco, I'm one of them too. Not a boo. Being a weeb and we a boo. Okay, yes, there is a difference between those two. I agree with that. Weeb is like you like anime, right? So like you like anime, you like watching anime, right? You like you like talking about anime. That's cool, all right? I could be considered a weeb because I can watch some anime and I could talk about some anime, sure, right? But a weeaboo would take it to that next level. Okay, would take it to that next level. Be like, I got to do the cosplay. I gotta do, all the stuff associated with that stuff. I gotta do the cultural appropriation stuff. I gotta do all the things that make every Japanese person known to man cringe. Really god awfully because yeah, it's pretty bad. So, um, it's not like it's bad, but some people have very, very, very terrible misconceptions. Some people have very terrible misconceptions. I ain't gonna lie. Um, like I could tell you. Oh man, there's too many stories to tell since I lived in Japan for 4 years about how off people are about Japanese society. Really well off. There was one series though. There was one series that actually was very good for picking up knowledge about Japanese culture, though. It was actually very, very well thought out and it was very well written. So there are several anime series that really give you a good glimpse about how things are actually done in Japanese culture. And there was one anime series a long time ago I watched that actually was very, very good. I think it was Kana Memo. I think Kana Memo was that series. It's such a long time ago, but it you watch the series, it's pretty lighthearted, right? It's just like, but the knowledge that you gain, like from why you celebrate certain days of the year, like cultural holidays and stuff like that. I thought that was really good insight and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, wow, that's the reasoning why you celebrate those kind of things. Like, oh, all right, that's kind of cool. It's kind of interesting to know. So that was one of the series that actually led me to give a good insight about how to adjust to certain things. In all honesty, yeah, Kana Memo is a really old series, pretty old. So how cool Japan is with androgyny is a total vibe. Oh man, um, how do I? Oh, wow. Oh man. Uh, let me hang on. There's something I probably should get in order to actually qualify that with a response. So let me bring up my buddy here, my good friend, and then we'll get to the rest of this example here really quick. So let's bring up my buddy here, Monokuma. All right, this is Monokuma. All right, Monokuma is a character from the Danganronpa series of games. Now, I've never actually played the games, but I've watched playthroughs of the games, and I really like the story. That's why I only watch the playthroughs. But Monokuma is a pretty famous character here. Um, so if you want to describe Japan in kind of a way, Japan is like Monokuma. It's got the nice side here, it's got the nice side here, the nice white fluffy side, and then basically it's got the not so great side here, which doesn't get talked about a lot but still exists. I mean, there are certain things that I could discuss that would break the fourth wall about how you would feel about Japanese culture. I'm not gonna lie. All right, I've heard things that would probably just blow your mind, but it's still true, especially in Japan today. Um, hey Yusuf, I hope you're doing well. So Monokuma is a wonderful kind of allegory to that. Is like there's the good part, kind of like what people hear about, through mediums like anime, but then there's also the other half, which probably should be addressed there. Like, I could go into like a good hour-long discussion about certain things that would just probably blow your mind. The Yakuza is a great example in how people actually like the Yakuza in certain places. So, how the Yakuza is more effective than the government. So, anyway, let's go back to our example here. So, here, what we're doing is we're doing T interval here. We're going to go over, there's two parts here to this submenu, by the way. There's data and then there's stats. Now, what we want to do here is because of the question at hand here. So let's go back to the question that we have here. I mean, do that. So let's go back to the question here. In this case here, we're going to go over to stats. Okay, so we're going to go over to stats and hit enter. Now, as you can see here, we have several things that we need to go ahead and state. First and foremost here, we have the mean. Now, the mean here given to us is 1.22. Okay, so we have a mean here of 1.22 hours that people spend eating and drinking per day. This is SX here represents the sample standard deviation, which is going to be 0.65. We also have N here, which is our sample size, which is, I know it's kind of covered up by my face here, but it's going to be 1001. So 1001. And we're also given a confidence level here of 0.95. So 0.95 here, and that's going to be our confidence level right there. And we're going to go ahead and hit calculate here, and we're going to see what we get. Okay, so this is what we get right here for our answer. Now, before I move forward here, one thing I do want to stress here really quick, one thing I want to ask here, everybody in the chat, is to type done in the chat if you got the same exact numbers that I did here on the screen. So go ahead and type in done if you got the same exact numbers here. Sorry about that, Ziggy. You didn't get all the numbers in? Okay, so again, hit the stat key, go to tests, go to number 8, which says T interval. Now again, for this example, we are given stats here. So I want you to scroll over to stats and hit enter. That submenu will change, and then type the numbers that you see here on the screen. Dumbo. So 1.22 for the mean, sample mean, 0.65 for the sample standard deviation, 1001 here for the sample size, 0.95 for a 95% confidence interval, and then go ahead and hit calculate to hopefully get to the same screen here. So I want to be sure everybody's kind of on the same page here. Be like, hey, make sure everybody's got that done. I hope Ziggy, hopefully you got that. Anna got it done. Okay, good. The standard deviation was given to us here as 0.65. So this 0.65 here was the sample standard deviation. So in this case here, it was given to you, yes. That's why we put our submenu here on stats. That's okay. You know, you can ask me questions anytime, Athena. Not like, don't worry, it's not. If we're gonna play a game of chicken about who's the dumbest, I already won that game. All right, so don't worry, you're not gonna make it to the same level as me. Okay. Somehow, some way, I dumped my way to somehow getting this job. I don't know. I'm not sure how to this day, but give a 30-year-old a chance and let's see what happens. 10 years later, holy moly. Maybe I still look like I used to back in the day. But anyway. All right. Now let's talk about what we can see here on the screen. Now, what we can first see here on the screen is the interval in question. Now, go ahead and write that down. Let's go ahead and write that out. All right, so we have here 1.1797. All right, and 1.2603. All right, so this is our confidence interval here. All right, no problem. We can find our. You did the right choice. Some people should not be teachers. I was already casting Thumb and Dumber 3. Oh boy. I was casting Dumb and Dumber 1. I was one of the worms in the worm farm. Okay, that was me, right there. All right, that was me a long time ago. I just find teaching to be super fun. Now in this case here, there's no point estimate. Okay, you can find the margin of error the same way that you did last time. Again, you can find the point estimate. You could take the difference here, divided by. It basically add this, divided by 2, find the point estimate, tell what the margin of error is going to be, whatever the case may be. What's more important here in this case, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the interpretation of said confidence interval. Exactly what does this mean here at the end of the day in the context of the problem? All right, because that's what it's going to essentially ask you here for the homework and the test to say, hey, okay, you got these numbers, great, but tell me what it means, right? What exactly is it asking you to do? All right, what is it talking about? Well, let's break that down here for just a second. So the way it's going to work here is that it does have a slight different meaning here. So the interpretation is this, and I put the things in parentheses of things that we can change here. Once again, like I did in the last section last week. So it says we are 95% confident. So again, our confidence level here is 95%. So we are 95% confident that the mean time of all Americans 15 and over spend eating and drinking is between, and then we go ahead and put in our hours here according to our results. So we are 95% confident that the mean time, again, a time can be different here, but the most important part here, what's underlined here, is the mean blank of whatever that context is. The mean blank of all. Okay, so now what we're doing here in this confidence interval is we're taking it from a sample and then extrapolating it to an entire population. So that's why we put here the mean blank of all. Okay, so it could be mean time, it could be mean weight, it could be mean whatever, but it's the mean blank of all, and then, of course, whatever that context is of how you did that particular survey. All right. So that's essentially how we can go ahead and effectively change that here to we want to basically say, hey, this is the mean of all from our little sample to everybody else. So again, once again, the same things apply. If you have a bigger confidence interval, then you will have a wider interval as a result. Okay, so 99%, you got to include more numbers. Hey, Lewis, how are you? I haven't seen you, buddy. I've been doing well, mate. I've been doing very well. Nah, that's okay, buddy. I haven't seen you in a fortnight. Let me tell you. Um, I hope you've been doing well. Hopefully, you've been doing really well. Um, I know that football's back on, practice is back on, so I'm looking forward to some non-league games. Looking forward to some non-league games. All right, super important. Get some more Essex Senior League action. Okay, that's what I am looking forward to. Good, good. Happy to hear that. Okay. Are there any questions about number 28? Any questions at all? Any questions about number 28 and its interpretation? I want to be sure everybody is on the level here. Yeah, it didn't feel pretty easy, right? That wasn't too bad, right? Yeah, that's all you had to do to find that confidence interval, right? That wasn't terrible. Are the two numbers are the upper and lower limits? Other way around. Lower. This would be lower. This would be upper. Yeah. So lower, upper. Yep, that's correct. Oh man, we could talk about that all day, Lewis. You ain't wrong. Yeah, don't make sure you got that make sure you got that right, Demar. Lower is always the smaller of the two numbers. Just be careful, my dude. Be, be careful. We don't want to fall into that trap. That's like, oh, it's upper and lower. And then my math lab's like, behold, my trap card. Pot agreed. I take away 2 points from your overall score. Like, oh, that's not cool, man. I wouldn't want that on anyone. You'd be like, man, that's some lower is lower, or is it? At the end of the day, Wade, lower is whatever you want it to be. Okay, I will leave it to you. Today is iced coffee from Dunkin' Donuts because I have been awake for a very long time. I don't know the answer to that question, Lewis, because I'm not familiar with the GCSEs. I'm guessing it does. I'm guessing it does, but I'm not going to say yes because I would need to actually look at a physical copy or a practice copy of the GCSEs, and I have not seen a practice copy. I'm guessing it would because the educational standards are a little different from America to the UK. I'm guessing that they're. I'm guessing it would, but yeah. That's okay, buddy. It just depends on the test. So maybe, maybe not. So, uh, all right. Um, Athena, Athena. I think we need to have a discussion. Okay, let's have a discussion here. I want you to take a good look. Okay, let's take a good look at the cup here together. Okay, let's look at this cup here together. All right, this is called Dunkin', and they took out the donuts. You know why they took out the donuts, Athena, of Dunkin' Donuts? Because the donuts are trash. Their donuts are terrible. You're better off buying a gas station donut than you are buying anything from Dunkin' Donuts, right? That's why they took off the name. Free donut at Dunkin' Donuts means that you're basically getting free trash. You might as well just go ahead, go to the back of the dumpster, put your hand in there, take out one of those old donuts and eat it, and it would taste exactly the same. Let's at least let's talk about it. Let's get that out of the way. Older people like what they like. I respect that. Athena, I'm going to change the course for the rest of your life. Just don't do it. Please. Same reason why Domino's took out pizza. Yes. So Domino's isn't as bad as Dunkin' Donuts. I'll tell you, not as bad. Not as bad. All right. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah, don't look. That's the one thing about elderly people, older people. Don't even bother, right? I just, you try and you try, you like, hey, I want to, you give up after a while because at the end of the day, older people they like what they like. Yeah, people. But I was asked a question: why are people more conservative as they get older? Because you like what you like. Okay, you like what you like, and you know what you like because you felt that you tried everything else. So you're not going to change because you like what you like. I said that's fair. All right, I don't have a problem with that. All right, but if you can change your mind now, that'll affect your things later. All right, this I promise you. International House of Burgers or International House of Bums, bummy burgers. Those things. Ugh. Blech. IHOP is good for a late night snack. Um, if you're coming off the highway, there you go. I would used to go to Denny. I used to actually true facts. True facts. Whenever the end of the semester would come, I would always go to Denny's to celebrate. So, and it wouldn't matter what time I would get my work. I would get my work done for finals. I would always go to Denny's for my end of semester celebration, celebratory dinner. So, the uh, the latest I've been in a Denny's before the lockdowns and everything, before the pandemic. Yeah, I went one time. I finished my finals work up at like 3:30 in the morning, and it was pitch dark everywhere. And I just went to Denny's. I'm like, yeah, this is for me. I'm just gonna sit and chill for like an hour. I'm dead tired, but I'm like, I gotta do this. So Denny's not good without hard drinks. I think Denny's is fine. It's mediocre. What you're gonna get is mediocre. So I mean, you're not if you're expecting good food at Denny's, then I don't know why you're going to Denny's. Just expect mediocre, and you're gonna get what you're gonna get. So just go with that, and I think you guys will be fine. So unfortunately, I haven't been able to go to Denny's since obviously the pandemic hit. But yeah, um, yeah, it's just one of those. It's one of those things. It's like okay, you go when you feel like it and stuff. So all right, good stuff. All right, we're gonna do one more example here, ladies and gentlemen. We got another example to do. We're not done quite yet. All right, because there are two halves to this. So let's go ahead and do the next one here. All right, so we're gonna do 33 here. All right. So 33 says crash test results. All right. So let me put that here. There we go. The following data represents the repair. It's not like you're getting gourmet food, but Denny's isn't. Yeah, look. If you go, okay, let me put it this way. You if you go to a place and you expect mediocre, then you're gonna get mediocre. So I just basically know that the food. If you always put food on a pedestal and like, hey, this is what I'm gonna get. Well, then and if it doesn't meet your expectations, then you're gonna have a bad time, right? But if you're like, hey, I'm going to Mickey D's because I just need something to eat, then yeah, it's just gonna be kind of like yeah, and that's kind of what you expect, and you kind of like yeah, and that's it. So that's all you need. Like all you need sometimes is kind of a meh, and you just kind of go with it. That's just what you feel, and you're gonna get a meh because that's what you wanted. Things you remember the most are the meals that are awful, that are pretty god awful. You remember those meals the most because you did not meet your expectations. Really good meals or really terrible meals because they either met your expectations or exceeded it, or they just really blew you away in terms of how awful it was. Just depends. But most of the time, you go to a restaurant and you want, yeah. All right. The following data represents the repair cost for low-impact collisions in a simple random sample of mini and micro vehicles, such as the Chevy Aveo or the Mini Cooper. So here we have a set of repair costs. Okay, so let's look at letter C here. Construct and interpret a 95% confidence interval for the population mean cost of repair. So now, in this instance here, remember that let's go back to the calculator here for just a moment. All right. So if I go back to the calculator here, let's go back to tests. In this case here, we go back to t interval here. Okay. Now, in this instance, the thing is that we're not given stats here. Okay. We're not given a mean. We're not given a standard deviation. We have a sample size here because it's clear that we have 10 cars and their particular repair costs. But we're not given anything else outside of that. But remember here, if you take a look at the very first option, we have data and stats. Now we did stats here for the last example. This example here, we're going to go ahead and do data. Okay. And so we're going to hit on data here. We say, okay, we have a list, we have frequency, we have a confidence level and whatnot. Now we need to set this up appropriately here before we get to the submenu here, but this is where we're going to use data here if we're given problems that look like this, where we're just given values here straight up. Now we're going to have the calculator, of course, do the work in our stead, but we need to set this up appropriately in order to make that happen. In order for us to do that here, we go ahead and quit, second in mode to quit. I'm going to hit second and the actually, no, it's not second, the stat key, sorry. We're just going to hit the stat key here outright. My bad. Let's hit the stat key here. Let's go to edit. Okay, we go to the list menu here. Now, if you had previous values here from our previous examples, we'll go ahead and just highlight that list, hit the clear key, and hit enter. That will clear out that entire list. Okay, now we're ready to go ahead and put in our numbers that we see here on the screen. Let's go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so in this case here, we do have 10 cars in question and their repair costs. All right. Make sure everybody has that written down. Are there, make sure everybody's okay with those values there. Again, if you don't have all those values, you can find that right over here to the right on the example here. Okay. Now, once you have that entered in, we're going to go ahead and hit second in mode to quit to the main screen here once again. And now we're going to go back to our t-interval menu here. So we'll hit the stat key here. We'll scroll over to tests. We'll go down to t-interval. Now we're underneath data here. Okay, so we want to use our data set that we're given here in this instance. So we set up the list already for our data set. So we're going to keep everything pretty much the same. The list is going to be L1. Again, if you have it underneath another list name or you have it, or if this is blank, go ahead and hit second and 1 to bring up list 1 or second and whatever number to bring up the appropriate list. So second and 2 for list 2 or whatever. Now the next part here, we're not going to touch at all. Okay, this is frequency. Frequency, leave it as 1. Just leave it alone. Okay, you're not going to touch that at any point in time. Leave it alone. It won't factor into our answer. All right, and our confidence level here is going to be 95%. And we want to keep it as 0.95 here, since that was what was asked here in part C. We'll go ahead and go to calculate here, and let's see what we get. Okay. So let's take a look at what we get for our answer here. Now, really quick here, let's go ahead and have everybody type done in the chat who got this answer exactly what you see here on screen. So please type done in the chat if you got the answer here. What did you do? Oh no. Donzo. What'd you do, Wade? Making Nightbot work. Oh. I gotcha. Anybody else stuck? Or not sure about what we did there? Okay. Make sure everybody's on the same page here. All right. iBot doesn't like long words, or maybe spamming the same letter. Maybe not. I can make adjustments to Nightbot. That's not a problem. Um, right now though, maybe not. Okay. Now, if we have this here, let's talk about what we're going to be doing here next. All right. So next here, of course, we're going to take that interval that we see there. Let's go back to our guy here. And again, this is going to be our confidence interval here, but once again, we want to go ahead and interpret this interval. Okay, so interpreting the interval here is going to be just as important as, of course, just doing the calculator stuff here. So exactly how does the interval work? Again, we want to say we are 95% confident that the mean cost of all, okay, so again, the keyword here, the mean cost of all mini and micro vehicles in low impact collisions is between, and then we can go ahead and put our two values here, 1035.80 and 2477.20. All right, so this would reflect the proper interpretation of our confidence interval here is that, the cost of all mini micro vehicles, is between $1,035 and $2,477 for low impact collision. All right, and there you go. So whether you have a stats that are given to you or a data set that's given to you here, either way, you'll be able to find it here underneath T interval without too much trouble. So again, just depending on what information that you're given there, and bada bing, bada boom, you got yourself a winner, winner chicken dinner. Are there any questions about that? Hopefully that wasn't too bad. Posture check. Noink. Noink indeed. Ooh. Thank you very much, Megan, for the posture check. Really appreciate that. Yet. And hopefully that makes it a tad bit easier to do. No. In the home stretch already. Jeez. Can't believe it. Can't believe it. All right. Good stuff. All right. So that is essentially, in a whole bunch of words, that essentially is the end of section 9.2. That's all you have to do and remember. Isn't that pretty easy? At least I hope so. Because yeah, that's pretty much all you got to do. Section 9.3 is just basically a recap section. So basically you do stuff from section 9.1 or 9.2. So 9.3 is just again a recap section of 9.1 and 9.2. There's not anything different than what you did in the first two sections. So that's basically how that's going to go in terms of chapter rest of chapter 9. So 9.3, there's nothing really to talk about since it's all the same stuff. All right. That means that we're going to, in the next class here, we're going to be moving on to chapter 10. We're already into chapter 10. Remember, there's only 2 more chapters after this, ladies and gentlemen. There's chapter 10 and chapter 4. Okay, so chapter 10, chapter 4, and then that means the book is done after those two guys are finished. So yeah, we're getting close to the end of the book already, which is well, for you guys, pretty nice. So that'll give you definitely more time. It's nice to get a break from so many steps. That's true. We'll be getting back to a few more steps here for chapter 10, but the steps for that one here are actually pretty easy. So um, those take a little getting used to, but they're not too bad. So I try and make it as easy breaking down the steps because if you try and do too much at once, then it gets more confusing. So one of the things that you learn in math that if you try and do everything all at once, it never works out the way you wanted it to. So math is like very harsh when it comes to that. Math is like try and do everything at once. You like try, you're like no, and I'm like, and then you're like, gotta do it again, and then it tells you no, you've wasted an hour doing the same problem, and you're like, ah, man, why you gotta be like that? And then you get frustrated and angry and upset. So you want to avoid those moments of why you gotta be like that, bro. You know, we don't want that. Nobody likes that. Nobody. Okay, not me. Not me for sure. I could guarantee you that. I learned a lot failing at math. Go ahead, Wade. Ask whatever you like. You're always allowed to ask questions. Not a problem. At 28, it's so much harder to retain so much information. Yeah, it can be. Everyone's thoughts on Little Nas's new devil shoes. Is that the one with I read some brief thing about. Is that the one with the blood in it? Like you put the blood of somebody, something blood in the sole of the shoe or something like that. Yeah, I think it's just a publicity stunt, really. I just think it's a publicity stunt that takes it a little too far. So I think the reason why you would do it is doing exactly what you're doing, Wade. Like the whole idea behind it is exactly you're doing what you're doing there. Not only how do you be the best edge lord possible, but how do you get as many people as possible to talk about it? So in fact, it's just a good marketing technique, even if it's not the most desirable marketing technique. So, because I mean, in the world of rap, I mean, look, in the world of rap, you got to keep yourself relevant, and if you're not relevant, well, then you'll just end up like Soldier Boy and keep offering hack consoles that nobody wants to buy. So, thing is, uh, that's basically that's basically what it is at the end of the day. I thought the shows looked cool aside from the negative connotations. Yeah, I mean, you're welcome to like things and stuff like that. It's just to me, most of the like, I'll be honest with you guys, most of that stuff is just basically just marketing and gimmicks and all that stuff. Yeah, you could buy the shoes because it's a gimmick or it's kind of like those once in a while things, but trust me, somebody will do something else that's stupid or want to get like new kicks or whatever, and then you know that'll be the new edgy thing of the week. I mean, look how expensive Yeezys are. I mean, you're like, ooh, look at their Yeezys. And you're like, but are Yeezys worth the amount of money that you pay for them? Like $1,000? Uh, no. No, they're not. I only play on the Soldier Boy console. Yeah, you and the 3 people who play on Stadia. Yeah, yeah, Toaster, absolutely. That's fair. I've never bought a shoe that was not on sale. The most I've ever spent was $100 on heels. Never again. My dog ate. Ooh. Your dog ate your heels. $100. Yeah, look, Soldier Boy was a one-hit wonder. Like a lot of singers, go through one-hit wonders and then they extend their careers because of one-hit wonders. You know, like basically, I will say the best one-hit wonder is Rick Astley, right? Rick Astley is gonna never gonna give you up, right? So that's a one-hit wonder song, but he's been able to extend an entire career out of it. Though to be fair, he was out of singing for quite a while. So I mean, like doing concerts and all that stuff until it blew up again. So until Rickrolling was an actual thing. So thing is that that's just how things are for certain things. Soldier Boy had the song and then he had the dance and then that was it. You know, relevance is what people want at the end of the day. That's the nice part about math. Math is always relevant. So I'm always relevant. There you go. And then people come to my class. And then I'm like, people sign up to see me. I'm like, I don't have to try so hard. It's amazing. I'm like, people want to sign up for me. I'm like, cool, man. I'm like, I don't know why, but okay, we'll go with it. Somehow, some way, I've gathered a reputation, and people want to come see me and talk to me and kind of get to know what it's like to be in my course. Okay, we'll go with this. Hmm. At some point in it along the way, I'll probably disappoint you. We're about 2.5 months in, so maybe I already hit that threshold. But if I haven't, I'm very sorry, but it will be coming. Imagine if people said that math and numbers were a social construct. Hmm. It was only a passing thing to have math and numbers as an acceptable as an acceptable construct. No. Yeah, the Dexy Midnight. Yeah, that's true. That song was crazy popular. This is true. By Dexy's Midnight Runners. That is a good song though. I ain't gonna lie. That is a very good song. 100% true. 100% true. All right. That's what it is. It's supposed to be catchy. All right. Till I get 1 million followers. If I did the Ludwig thing, I would probably just die. Oh my gosh. That constant stream that he's doing for 31 days. So I gotta give him credit. I gotta give him credit for that. It takes a lot of stamina. So you'll leave an amazing review on Rate My Professor. I appreciate that. I don't earn any of them. You guys do what you want to do. I'm just hoping to be just a regular dude who teaches math and happens to be a professor and who's absolutely crazy at the same time. So I don't think there's a time where I've been sane, so thanks for making this fun and not so confusing. Yeah, look, stats can be pretty hard, I ain't gonna lie, but it doesn't have to be super confusing. I had to learn it through simplistic means, so I'm right there with you. I don't like making things super complicated because it doesn't need to be. Like, for me, it's like saying, I need to speak 2 levels above you, so I'm like, that's not what you need. You need to be somebody who can speak on the level, and if you work your way up here, okay. Sometimes I'll work a little bit up here, but yeah, I'd rather be on the level. I hate lording over people unless it's absolutely necessary. So, then I have to step in and say something, but I'm really technically just more of a hands-off kind of guy. Life is complicated enough already, it's true. Make stats super easy, absolute rubbish at math. Oh, thanks. Trust me, I didn't think math was enjoyable either. Until, where did I turn the corner? What class was it? Yes. You know, there was a class where I started to turn the corner and I decided that to pretty much say, screw it, I'm just gonna do it my way. And I was like, I was in Kansas at the time. And I was doing this class for for college algebra. And the class was good, we had a nice class and stuff. We were like in the basement of the building. And I basically you know what? I just kind of threw caution to the wind because I was like, screw it. You know what? You guys are sitting in the basement of this building. It's super boring of me just kind of just talking about some random stuff on a board, because I felt the same way when I was talking to the TA when I went to a big college at U of I, and I'm like, I don't feel good like that. I don't feel good like, hey, I'm sitting here in the basement of a building. Exactly, do I want to be here? The answer is no, I don't want to be in the basement of a building learning mathematics. All right, there's like barely any windows and there's no one to talk to. So I'm like, okay, well, I need to at least spice things up a bit. So one day I was like, I would crack jokes and stuff like that. But one day, I had my shoes on. My shoes were. I'm the kind of guy who just he just didn't care at that point. So I was like, not about the class, of course. I care about the class, but I just didn't care about my shoes. And they were like brown. They were ratty. They were like a good 2 years old and stuff like that. And they were starting to come apart pretty bad. So they would slip on and off of my feet like pretty easily. Finally, finally it slipped off my foot one day where it's just like it just kind of flopped over on my foot, and I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I don't need these shoes. So I just took my foot and I just whipped the shoe across the across the classroom to the wall, and I just did it to both shoes, and I just taught barefoot the rest of the class. I'm like, yeah, screw this. I ain't gonna put up with it. I think from then on, I just decided, you know what? People will maybe agree or disagree, but at least I'm gonna have a nice time, at least enjoying teaching the subject and having a nice time. We did it. We had, so I flinged my shoes a couple times. Made fun of a couple students. Some of the students, man, oof, really good people, really good guys. We played PlayStation, and we played PS in my class. At the time, I had Katamari Damacy. That was super cool. It was super fun. Everybody was playing like PS. I brought that into class and hooked it up to a TV. So I was like, I would just find ways to make excuses to like just have a nice time in a college algebra class, which for most people would be like, this doesn't gonna mean a ton, but how exactly are you gonna make it memorable? Well, here you go. Let's just do stuff. Let's do stuff because I don't want to be bored. You don't want to be bored. Let's just have a grand old time. I didn't even expect myself to be teaching on Twitch, but I figured this is the best medium that I got outside of doing stuff that's face-to-face. So, for my shoes, yeah, those shoes, man. Those shoes got it promptly thrown in the trash once I got home. So, And from then on, I was like, I was gonna just do things the way that I felt would be best for everyone else involved. So when I look at a class here, it's not just the way that I feel is best necessarily, it's also the best way for you guys as well. Some things work, some things don't. Even I'll admit there have been some failures as much as there have been successes. But um, people have an easier time remembering things that stick out, things that are more memorable. Things that things that have could have a meaningful impact. And whether that comes with math or whether that doesn't come with math, at least I've done my job into helping you be a little bit more interesting, a little bit more relevant, or again, uh, at least having that memory that you can take with you the rest of your life. Like I said, I only want that little smidge of a positive progress. And if that's the way I'm going to get it, that's the way I'm going to get it. And I'll do anything possible in order to get it. Imagine if education was being glad about learning something new and not always about the grade. Yeah. Or imagine if it wasn't about imagine if it was about not all about money and not using students as pawns in order to get more money. That would be great too. Imagine that. Because I mean, that's basically what most schools do these days. Is they use students as essential pawns, and then the education gets put last. It's like, as long as I can showcase the results, then I can fudge the results, or I can basically dumb down the education. But who are the losers in the end, ladies and gentlemen? The losers in the end are you. You're the one that gets disenfranchised for everyone else's greed. And that's the biggest farce in education that I've seen in the past 25 years. It's a farce in terms of how money has basically influenced and dumbed down the educational system. There are people who fall through the cracks or are not prepared to deal with outside things in the outside world because you dumb everything down to a basic point where essentially you make sure that make sure that they pass and make sure that they can collect money. But guess what? The amount you've learned is next to nothing. So, yeah. Free education for the world. It'd be nice to have free education. It may not always be possible. The issue that the thing I take umbrage with is that how much you link federal money to your students' performance. In terms of, oh, if you don't get this kind of thing, you're only going to get X amount of money. And I'm like, well, that it's supposed to serve as competition, but instead people use it as manipulative tactics in order to get what they want. So essentially, like I said, it just boils down to students are easy pawns, because they technically have no say-so. So it's like the NCAA, right? If you talk about the NCAA is also a huge farce, right? It's also a huge scam. You have kids who are over 18 years old who played collegiate athletics, all right? But yet they can't make money off of their likeness or anything, even though they are of adult age and they play at a college or university. They can't make any more money off of athletics, or they can't make money off campus. And the rules are so archaic where the college is going to make 100% of their money, while the college provides them with an education which is, well, for many student athletes is half-hearted at best. So I feel in a lot of ways it's like essentially it's like indentured labor. Okay, so it's indentured labor using education as basically a backdrop. So, and I'm like, that is not okay. The NCAA is essentially, it is exactly that. It's a total scam. You could get a nice 4-year degree, but if you're spending all your time practicing your athletics, well, then you're not really using that 4-year scholarship all that often. Yeah, pretty much. So I feel for some student athletes because they didn't get the full college experience because they didn't have time to balance that out. That could be very, very difficult, honestly speaking. Student debt in America is outrageous, completely outrageous. So that has student debt in America is completely outrageous. It's way too high. That's way, way too high. So I'm hoping that when you get out of school, right, you get a job right away. You get that entry-level job and start paying off that debt, because the debts are right now for the average for a student debt is quite high. So that's why you go to community college. That's why you go. You know, you want to know something, and everybody knows this, right? It's like you talk about your major, right? And you're like, I want to do my major, and so you basically like, all right, I'm gonna do my electives, and that's where you go to community college. You get your electives out of the way. Basically, community college is like an acknowledgement of saying like the electives are essentially a scam at a four-year university. So, because a community college can offer it for a fraction of the cost. That means that basically what they're saying is that the first 2 years is basically going to be the college experience. That's it. What does it mean colleges are nonprofit organizations? I mean, so it means that the money is just basically pooled and they don't take any profit for, so you could be an NPO, right? And it's supposed to go toward various budget expenses or whatnot where you're exactly making no money. But let's not forget that money can be appropriated literally anywhere in any nonprofit organization. Somebody does profit off of nonprofit organizations. It's usually the people at the top. So I'm not saying that's going to be applicable in every single case. Of course, I don't know every NPO in existence. But typically, a lot of times it's like you can declare nonprofit organizations, but if they're not properly audited, you know, that money can literally go anywhere into somebody's back pocket. It's really not too hard when you're dealing with nonprofit organizations. Got to be properly audited. They're profit for themselves. Yeah, remember, profit only applies to the company, but it doesn't apply to the people who are in the company necessarily. In terms of legalese. Like, okay. Let's talk about that for a second, right? You go to an Ivy League school, right? By the way, for those of you who want to go, you can go. We're done. But and I appreciate your time. I'll see you guys on Wednesday who did leave. But if you go into Ivy League school here for gen eds, right? So an Ivy League school, like an Ivy League school is great for prestige, wonderful stuff, okay? But what do you go to an Ivy League school for? You go to an Ivy League school for the connections, okay? So you could be paying, well, I don't know, what is it, 60 grand or 50, 60 grand to go to some Ivy League school? You know, I'm just throwing out a number. I don't know if that's true. But let's say it's like 50, 60 grand. Well, then for the first 2 years, you're paying 100,000 to 120,000 for just connections. But the classes, like if you did a math class here of statistics at Harvard, it's tantamount to exactly what I'm teaching you here. Okay, that's it. It's exactly the same. All right? In actuality, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, one thing that is not well known about community colleges, but is very true about community colleges, that community colleges have to teach more than a standard college, which means that in some places we could end up teaching more than Harvard or Penn, okay, or you know, ISU or U of I. We actually end up teaching more. Why would I go to Ivy School for gen eds? Yeah, right? Jeff Bezos. Yeah, the reason why is, you know, the reason why is that if we have to teach more because we have to make it transferable to those institutions. So we have to be more comprehensive in order to meet the requirements to be transferable. So, which means we might have to include more information than what you would normally get when you go to those colleges or universities. So, in fact, we actually are, in terms of content, we do a whole lot more than what's maybe necessary. Yeah, 10 grand for philosophy? Get out of here. You know my philosophy? I'm keeping the 10 grand and using it somewhere else. That's a great philosophy. I passed my test. Okay, 10 grand for a philosophy class. Get out of here. Hell no. You tell that to the teacher the first day, I'm getting a damn refund. I'm out. I'm totally out. I ain't gonna deal with this nonsense. I don't want anything to do. I don't want anything to do with $10,000. The $10,000 can buy you lots of better things than a philosophy class. No disrespect to philosophy. Mind you, great class. But it's not worth $10,000. Just like I'm going to sit here and tell you that my statistics class is not worth $10,000. It is not even remotely close to $10,000. Okay? Never am I going to tell you my class is worth $10,000. Because then I'm selling you snake oil at the end of the day. I mean, heck, if I told you, you know what, you should pay $10,000 for my stats class, I would probably say, but wait, there's more. You get this free magic water that'll cure all the diseases, absolutely free. Okay? I mean, I I have no idea how I could even justify that. Maybe I'll just throw in a ShamWow while I'm at it. I have no clue. My tuition's like $1,600. Theirs is through the roof. Like outrageous. Yeah. Yeah, you're almost better off just doing a majority of the classes here at community college and then just doing like the last year and a half of whatever major classes you need to get done. Because they're the same exact classes, in all honesty. They're the same exact thing. Like there's literally nothing different. Let me check this. What has happened? Alright. I mean, if you're gonna only pay for classes here. And again, return of investment means a lot. Okay, so obviously return of investment is oh yeah, we could all talk about televangelists. That's a whole different story. Televangelists exist everywhere, so it's not just the United States, mind you. Every religion has a version of televangelists. There might not be too much of the tele part, but yeah, there's always going to be some of those type of people. No, I don't limit it to a religion. It literally could be anything and anyone of any faith. It is not discriminatory whatsoever. I will not say it's not fair to say it's only this or only that. I've seen it in other cultures and other forms, and trust me, it's there. It's there. I have seen this before. Yeah. I Yeah, those people are those people who do that are the lowest of the low. They take advantage of people's faith. And like when it comes to people's faith, regardless of whatever you believe in, right? Hey, I had a good Easter. I rested a lot, Dylan. I hope you're doing well, buddy. Yeah, regardless of whatever piece of faith in, you know, if you believe in God or not, your connection is with between you and God, you know, or your connection is, you know, whatever you believe in. Okay, you know, I respect anybody's beliefs, regardless of whatever the heck they are, right? But that's a personal connection of spirituality between yourself and God, or whatever else you believe in. So it's totally up to you, you know. But nobody should be a medium to that. You should be able to express yourself spiritually the way you want to. Hey, thanks. I appreciate that, MJ. Appreciate you. You're all good, my friend MJ. You're always welcome anytime. Thank you for the compliment. You don't have to be religious at all. Everybody has their path that they want to take. Everybody has their own beliefs. I respect any and all of them. As long as you're not hurting others, I'm cool with that. Then that's fine too. I've had plenty of students who were atheists. Absolutely 100%. You should never feel ashamed if you do believe in God or don't believe in God. It's your choice. It's your belief and it's your own spirituality. Far be it for me to tell you exactly what you should or should not do. It's totally up to you. Thanks, MJ, for the follow. I appreciate you, buddy. Much respect. Then I believe in that. I believe in whatever. I believe that anything that you believe in and your justification in believing in whatever you believe in is just as nice. You have your own reasons for believing in what you believe in, and I'm fine with that. Nobody should tell you otherwise. Like this, that, and the other thing. If you ask me about my beliefs, I will tell you, but I'm not going to tell you on this stream, okay? Unless you ask, okay? I am not going to tell you because that is not my right to basically force an ideology down your throat. Okay, I believe in the founding titan. There you go. My name is Ymir. All right. Uh. Hey, and that's perfectly fine. We can all bow down to the flying spaghetti monster, okay, or you know, whatever deity you want. It doesn't matter. I don't talk about religion at all because of the fact that everybody has a right to believe in whatever they want to believe in, and it absolutely 100% is just totally on you. I will respect any and all viewpoints. That is what we are here to do. No, I don't mind either. Trust me. I don't proselytize my religion whatsoever. I never proselytize what I believe in. That is not what I do. You ask me about my beliefs, I will tell you. But if you don't, I'm not going to say a darn word. Because it's not my right to say so, and I don't have a place. It's not really too much of a place for it inside of a classroom, to be honest. So, unless it is expressly asked. Eldians are the superior race. Eldians. We're always oppressed, okay? Damn those Marleys. Damn those Marlians. I like that, MJ. Believe in the Holy Bible. I like that. I like that. That's pretty funny. All right. Have a great one, Ziggy. Yeah, we have a afternoon, Ashley. Afternoon, I just saw that. Afternoon, Ashley. I hope you're doing well. Oh man, it's already 12:34. Holy smokes! Holy smokes! It's already time for the second class. Wow, that discussion lasts a while, but I respect it. I love everybody's input. It's so nice to hear. I tell you, everybody's opinion's super nice to hear. Love it. Yeah, actually, JD, we actually have a lot of interesting talks here in the first class. So definitely, like I said, you're always welcome in the first class as well. So everybody's welcome between classes at any time. So first class, second class, it doesn't matter. Um, if you're able to make it to the first class, great. If not, then you can make it the second class, and we can have a discussion there. Okay, you have a great one, Athena. You take care of yourself. Marley and Stay Pressed and Planet. All right, no, that's fine, JD. It's not a problem. I was given an option. Whether it's possible or not is I don't know, but you know, always give that option here if it's possible. Everyone, take it easy, Wade. You have a great one, okay? You take care of yourself. All right. All right. Hopefully the people who stuck around here are ready to go here for the second class. Cause we got stuff we gotta do, right? That's stuff we gotta do. All right. Let's do this, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do this. All right. Let's do some intros. Let's get going here. All right. Let's do some intros. Let's do this. All right. Okay, let's get started today. Welcome back to Monday. Hope you're having a nice weekend. All right. So today, just for those of you who came in for the second class here, but I give a little PSA, by the way, in my first class, but I'll give you the same PSA that I did in my first class that I did here for the second class. That is, I'm not sure if those of you have gotten the vaccine shot over the weekend, but I got my second vaccine shot there on Friday. Now I am I'm fully vaccinated there. Now, for those of you who are going to get your first or second shot there, um, I have just a couple things that I can at least let you know ahead of time. So since I've already been there, maybe some of you have already had your second shot. I don't know. I have no idea. But what I do know is that there weren't side effects, but your body's working as intended. If some people have different effects, but like 12 to 18 hours after you get your second shot, um, if you feel like nauseated, if you feel like you're running a slight fever, if you feel like you're getting the chills, if you feel like you feel fatigued or tired, or severely tired, um, or if you feel like you just feel like you have a big headache, those are perfectly normal things to have once you get your second shot. Again, they'll usually manifest between 12 to 18 hours. Again, a high suggestion would be, again, to take Tylenol if you do feel like a headache or a fever or something like that. Don't take any naproxen or aspirin, but Tylenol is what was recommended. So said stay away from naproxen and aspirin. So I was like, all right, that's fine. Acetaminophen will work will be just fine. So uh, so just wanted to let you know as a nice little PSA about what to expect for that second dose. All right, if your body's reacting that way, that is purely intentional. That is exactly what your body is supposed to do, is trying to build up antibodies. All right, in order to fight off any future possible infections. As long as those antibodies exist within your system, all right, then you'll have a better chance to fight off COVID. So that's exactly what it's there for. All right, so please understand that it's not a side effect as much as doing what is intended. But remember, because these can be possible effects if you're getting the second shot, please make sure to take like a day off or so. It took me like a day and a half to kind of get over everything because I slept for like a day and a half, pretty much on and off. So I wasn't feeling all that well on Saturday. I got mine on Friday, like 12. I stayed up for a while and then I felt like, oh, I need to go to sleep. And I went to sleep. And then I was sleeping on and off. Like Saturday, I was feeling pretty crummy, but that was expected. So I was like, okay, let me sleep again. And I kind of slept on and off through Saturday and Sunday, and then I feel like pretty refreshed. So I've been awake for a while because I got so much sleep this weekend because of the second shot there. Yeah, I'm all better now. Like I've been awake since time did I wake up? Holy smokes. Yeah, I'm all better now, JD. Like, what time did I wake up today? Oh man, I don't remember. I think I've been awake since like 2:30 in the morning. Yeah, I've been awake since like 2:30 in the morning. So I've been awake for a really long time, in all honesty. But that's because I slept so much this weekend that like my body had to catch up with everything. So that's why I'm like, well, I didn't even know there was a storm. To be honest with you, I had no knowledge of any storm. I was just like sitting and vibing for since 2:30 in the morning. So you'd be like that sometimes. Oh, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I didn't hear a thing. I'm not gonna lie. Unless I was listening to uh unless I was listening to something else. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I missed a whole thunderstorm. I don't know. I must have been listening to something else. For me, I block out noise pretty well. So unless it's like directly at my window, then I kind of tend to ignore it. I know that's hard to imagine, but it's true. Yeah, that's why it's good to have some nice noise canceling headphones like these guys. So these cancel out a lot of noise on the outside. So if there is something that does happen, then it'd have to be a little bit louder. Normally you sleep with earbuds. Oh, okay. Yeah. So if you sleep with earbuds, yeah, that's super helpful. So if you put like that nice calming music on or whatever to kind of help you sleep, then basically hearing that through the night. But I've been awake for most of the night, so probably that's why I didn't hear anything. To be fair. All right, ladies and gentlemen, or ladies so far. Um, okay. All right. In any case, well, ladies and gentlemen, I would say. All right. Let's go ahead and get started here. Um, all right. So today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be continuing on here in chapter 9. Okay. So we're going to be finishing up the latter half of chapter 9, which is section 9.2. Last Wednesday, we went ahead and did section 9.1. All right, so section 9.1 was talking about confidence intervals. Today, doing section 9.2, which is still doing confidence intervals here, but only this time here, we're going to be doing confidence intervals using a different context. And also, it will mean something different than what we talked about here in the first section. In the first section here, we talked about confidence intervals using proportions. Now, we're not using proportions here in section 9.2. Instead, we're going to be looking at something completely different, but still being able to put together a confidence interval here nonetheless. Okay, so let's take a good look here at how we can do that here, and let's see how this will work out. So let's go to the big board here, and let's see what we're looking at. Okay, so going to the big board here, let's go ahead and start with section 9.2 and at least talk about what we're going to be covering. All right, so we're going to be talking about a different type of distribution here today that will introduce a new concept that we'll also see in chapter 10. Okay, and we'll talk about that here in slight detail here, but we're going to be taking, again, a nice shortcut approach to a lot of what we're going to be doing here for here today. Um, uh, doesn't it happen like when you listen to a vid at night? Like, yeah, actually, that happens to me quite often. So I'm listening to a video in my bed, and then I'll fall asleep for a while, and then the video's still running, like 30 minutes later or something, and then I have to turn it off and be like, okay, I really got to go to bed. So yeah, I know what you're talking about. You just kind of doze off, like you just kind of nod off and doze off. Like that happens sometimes even when I'm watching videos on YouTube. So in any case, let's take a look at a T distribution. All right. So number one, what is a T distribution? Yeah, for that's okay, JD. Some people can't sleep with some people can sleep with like some media, like something like that. Um, some people can't. It's like if you're ever on an airplane and you can sleep a little bit on an airplane, like some people can, and some people can't because of the noise from the airplane. Like you're like the hurt in your yeah. So I mean, some people can, some people can't. Like one of the things I think would be good is like if you had actually noise canceling headphones, and you just did noise canceling, then it does help a little bit at least because then you'd have like silence around you. So there you go. Answer C. No, it was not answer C. The answer was A. All right, as an AJ official. Shame on yourself for not getting your name correct. All right. Anyway, how you doing, AJ? Uh, you should be ashamed of yourself. Um, I'm kidding. All right. So, what is a T distribution? So, it's a T distribution is a type of distribution. Um, it's a type of distribution that closely resembles a normal distribution that includes n minus 1 degrees of freedom, with the population standard deviation being unknown. Now, I'm doing good, AJ. I'm doing very good. Thank you for asking. I hope you're doing well, my man. I hope you are doing excellent. Hopefully, you had a nice, wonderful Easter weekend, by the way. Um, all right. So, a couple things I want to talk about here about T distributions. Number one, it closely resembles a normal distribution. It doesn't mean that it's exactly a normal distribution, but it's close to resembling a normal distribution. So, it's not quite a bell curve, but it's pretty close to a bell curve there. All right. However, in order for us to apply that here, we're going to introduce what's called degrees of freedom. All right, and degrees of freedom here is going to be totally dependent on the sample size that you take here in the study or question that you ask. Okay. Also, what's also important here is that the population standard deviation is not given. You don't know what the population standard deviation is. The population standard deviation can be whatever. All right, we have no idea what that is. And so essentially what we're doing here for these confidence rules, and what that means is that because we don't know the population standard deviation, we're actually going to be working our way backwards. We're going to be like, okay, we have a sample size, we have a sample standard deviation. Now, can we apply that to the entirety of the population? Can we extrapolate that to the entirety of the population using our sample as a backdrop? And that's essentially what these confidence intervals will allow us to do. Okay, so using t minus one here, using t not t minus one, using t a t distribution here, we're going to be able to do that here by kind of going backwards from the sample back to the population and hopefully making a nice overall conclusion. Okay, now what are some properties here of the t distribution? So the t distribution is different for different degrees of freedom. So depending on whatever the sample size is that you're going to use, the distribution is going to look different for different sample sizes. Okay, so because different sample sizes will imply different degrees of freedom, as we'll look at here in just a second if you haven't seen it already. Um, The t distribution is centered at 0 and symmetric about 0. So the normal distribution is centered around the mean, but the t distribution is centered around 0, and we go left or right, left or right based on that. Area underneath the curve is 1, just like any other curve. And as n increases, the density curve of t gets closer to the normal density curve. So essentially, the higher the sample size, the closer it's going to look like a normal curve at the end of the day. It won't be exactly a normal curve. It's not going to reach exactly a normal curve, but it's going to look pretty darn close. Okay, so notice we're not using like normal CDF here, things like that. That's not applicable here. It looks close, but it's not quite there. All right. Anyway, we're not finding probabilities in this case. We're actually more along finding the confidence interval. All right. In any case, let's look at number 3. As I talked about here, we talked about degrees of freedom. It says how many degrees of freedom are there for a t distribution? So, degrees of freedom here is equivalent to the sample size minus 1, or n minus 1. So essentially, just take that sample size, subtract by 1, and that's going to be your degrees of freedom at the end of the day. Again, entirely dependent on whatever your sample size is. That's what we're going to be using. Okay, now there are two paths that you can go down in order to solve for these confidence intervals. First path you can go down here is finding critical values for a t distribution. Find these critical values here. You can use table 7 from the back of the book to determine a manual value. Again, you'll have to use the number of degrees of freedom and the confidence level in order to find these particular critical values. Now, we're not going to use this critical value method here. We're actually just going to go ahead and use the shortcut here using the calculator here in order to basically find out what our confidence interval is. But this is just one method in order to go ahead and find it. So I'm not going to elaborate on this too much here, but it is there since we did talk about critical values here from the last chapter. That's applicable here as well, where we use critical values and be like, or actually last section I should say, where we used critical values and say, oh, what's the necessary sample size or something like that. Yeah, it's those same critical values that we talked about here last week. Obviously, this doesn't contain all the critical values for all degrees of freedom, only because it's a limited table in a textbook. So you're not going to find everything. Fine. It is what it is. Whatever. All right. Let's move on to the real meat and potatoes of what we're talking about here today, though. Today, we're talking about number 5. How do we construct a confidence interval for the mean when the population standard deviation is unknown? Okay, so what we're going to be using here specifically is we're going to be specifically using a calculator function here called t-interval. We're going to use t-interval here using the appropriate values such as data or stats and the confidence level here. Now, what I have listed here is to say if you wanted to find the margin of error, you would use the critical value here, which is given as this t of alpha over 2, times the sample standard deviation, which is s, divided by the square root of n, which is going to be the sample size. Again, as stated earlier, the critical value is obtained from the back of the book, if depending on the confidence level and the number of degrees of freedom. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a sample problem here. And let's see how we can put 2 and 2 together. Again, we're not going to be really using this formula too much, as pretty much we'll use the calculator, and finding the margin of error is significantly easier once we get to that last part if we want to. Is it not necessary? No, but again, if you want to, you can. All right. In any case, let's take a good look here at number 28. Okay. Can I go back to number 4 so I can screen? Oh yeah, sorry about that. I'll be. There you are. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, just if I'm going too fast, just tell me to slow down because I'm going too fast. No problem. Cool, cool. All right. Remember, I'm the best bum. All right. I'm just saying. All right. Let's take a good look here at this problem right here. I'll this over a little. See that? All right. There we go. All right. So number 28 here. Hungry or thirsty? How much time do Americans spend eating or drinking? Suppose for a random sample of 1,001 Americans aged 15 or older, the mean amount of time spent eating or drinking per day is 1.22 hours with a standard deviation of 0.65 hours. All right, so we're going to look at just one part here, which is going to be letter C. Determine and interpret the 95% confidence interval for the mean amount of time Americans age 15 or older spend eating and drinking each day. Okay, so again, we're going to take a look at two parts here. First of all, we got to find the confidence interval here that represents a 95% confidence interval. And of course, the second half of the question here, which is what we also talked about here last week, was interpreting that confidence interval. What exactly does it mean in the context of the problem here? What exactly are we talking about here? And that's going to be the more important part here about saying, hey, I got some random numbers, but what do the random numbers mean? What are they actually, what significance do they have? So we're going to look at that here as well. Okay. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go to our calculadora. Let's go to our lovely calculator here. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do here is, let me get this out. What we're going to do here first is we're going to go ahead and hit the stat key. So hit the stat key here on your calculator. And we're going to scroll over to tests. Okay, so hit the stat key here on your calculator and scroll over to tests. Okay, now we're going to go down to the bottom here and we're going to go down to number 8, which says T interval. So I'll actually look at that here. So we're going to go to number 8 here, which says T interval. All right. Let's go to T interval here. Now, as you can see here, we have two things listed on the screen. Now, everybody should get to this submenu here. Old calculator, new calculator, doesn't matter. What we're going to get is we are given two options here. We're given data or we're given stats. Now, for the purposes of our problem in this example, we are actually given stats. Okay? We're given physical stats here for this problem. Now, how do I know that? Well, going back to our question here, we're given the mean here, which is, again, 1.22, and a standard deviation, which is 0.65. These two things are considered stats as part of the problem, as well as a sample size here. I know maybe it's hard to see behind me. It says 1001. So 1001 here is our sample size for that. So let's go ahead and put this in to stats here. And let's put in the appropriate numbers and let's see what we get. So we're going to put 1.22 for our mean, 0.65 for our standard deviation, 1001 for our sample size, and our confidence level here is going to be 0.95, okay, for a 95% confidence level. And we'll go ahead and hit calculate. Okay, so now we got our answer right here for our interval, our confidence interval. Now, before I continue moving forward here, does anybody have, first of all, not any questions. I want you to go ahead and type done in the chat if you have this on your calculator. I want to be sure that everybody's on the same page here. Please type done if you have this on your calculator. Make sure everybody gets the same answer there. So JD has it done. I'm sure that Planet, Desmond, both have that done there. Madison as well. Island, and see if any of you guys have it done on your calculators. Remember, type done in the chat if you have this exact answer on your calculator, please. So I'll wait for you guys to get that going. Anybody else? Otherwise, it's just me and JD. Feels kind of weird, but okay. Hopefully you guys got the same result on the calculator that you have on the screen. Moo. Right? Like I'm talking to an echo chamber. Like I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I just want to be sure that everybody gets the button presses down on the calculator so when you try the homework and you try the tests, they can't be like, "Well, how do you do this again?" And be like, "But I showed you how to do this. And I even asked you if you got it done on the calculator." It says, "No, I didn't get it done because I wasn't paying attention." Be like, "Then how is that my problem? I don't understand." So yeah, so your confidence level here, Planet, should be yours should ask it for a confidence level. That part is true. So you go to tests, right? Go to T interval. Go to stats, right? Hit enter on stats. Your confidence level here should be 0.95 for 95%. So Planet, you should put 0.95 for 95%. How can you tell if it's data or stats? Now, stats basically is if you're given, like, say, what the mean and standard deviation are of your sample. They just tell you the information like, hey, here's the mean, here's the standard deviation of the sample, here's the sample size. All right, I want such and such confidence level. So they're just giving you all the stats here. They're not giving you any concrete numbers here outside of just saying, here's just the mean and the stuff here. This is already summarized data for you. Here you go. Okay. So that's how you know it's going to be stats. Now we're going to look at an example. We're going to use data here, JD. So I think that's a very good question because again, it's like, okay, well, what's that major difference? Again, this is where the stats can be applied, but with the next example. Yeah, it has that as default there, but again, if it does ask you for a different one, at least you'll know that you'll have to change that. So if it says it's a 99% confidence interval there, Planet, then you would change it to 0.99, for example. So it does default to 95%, but again, you do need to change it accordingly depending on whatever it asks you for the problem. So that's why I'm just making you aware about that. Any other questions before I move forward? So I will answer your question a little bit more in detail here, JD, with the next example. And Planet, yeah, just make sure you read that confidence level carefully for each problem, so you know what number you need to put in that slot. It will ask. Okay, so one thing that is for certain is that it will ask Planet. So it will tell you what percentage of confidence interval it would like. So the default value is 95%, but every problem should have a specific confidence level. So if it says 99%, you're going to put 0.99. If it says 90%, you're going to put 0.90. Okay, so every problem should ask. So there will not be a problem that does not ask. Okay, no problem. Anything else before we move forward? All right. Now, the one thing I do want to point out here regarding this is, again, we want to be able to interpret this here. So let's go ahead and write this down. Okay, so let's write down our answer here. We got 1.1797, and then we have 1.2603. Okay, now the important part here for this problem is that, again, we want to take this confidence interval, we want to be able to interpret it. So again, we want to be able to say, hey, what do these numbers represent? Okay, what do they represent at the end of the day? Now, again, you can take this confidence interval, you can find your point estimate, you can find your margin of interval. That stuff there isn't too hard. The more important part, like I said, is just telling me what it means to have these two numbers around. Okay, let's go back to our guy here. Now again, we will have a template here set up, which basically is going to tell you how we are going to interpret, say, an answer like this for number 28. So it says here we are 95% confident. So anything in parentheses can be changed. So this could say 99% confident, whatever, but this is 95% for this example. We are 95% confident that the mean time of all Americans 15 plus spending or drinking is between the hours. Now, and we could put in these numbers here 1.1797 and 1.2603 hours. Now, one of the important parts here I do want to stress is this part that's underlined here. Again, we're now taking it from a sample and we're now extrapolating it to an entire population. So notice this talks about the mean, and again, this is what we're referring to here. It's the mean, in this case, time, the mean time of all. Okay, notice it says of all. So like for the entirety of the population. So we're 95% sure, 95% confident that the mean time for all, okay, or of all, all right? And then you put the context in Americans 15 or over spent eating or drinking is between these amount of hours. Okay, so we go from talking about a small sample, extrapolating it to a population. That's why we're saying the mean blank of all. Okay, so it could literally, time could be anything. It could be time. It could be, some other unit, whatever the context of the problem says. But the key one is that I've underlined here, the mean blank of all. That is the most important part there of the interpretation for that problem. Okay, so just wanted to point that out. They're very important. All right. Any questions about this example? Any questions at all about this example? Nope. Okay. Again, I want everybody to be on the same page here, so, just to be on the safe side, that's why I ask. All right. Good stuff. Okay. Good stuff. All right. Let's go ahead and try another example here. All right. So let's try another example here, and now we'll see the other side of things. Okay. I'm going to go to number 33 here. Okay. We're going to see exactly how we can get the answer for that. Okay. So 33 says crash test results. Okay, so the following data represents the repair cost for a low impact collision in a simple random sample of mini and micro vehicles, such as the Chevy Aveo or Mini Cooper. All right, construct and interpret a 95% confidence interval for the population mean cost of repair. Okay, so here in this case, what we're given is we're just given a set of data, right? This is a data set, okay? So essentially, here are the cost of repairs of some randomly selected vehicles. They don't tell us what the mean is. They don't tell us what the standard deviation of the sample is. Here, they just say, hey, here's a data set, and now you got to find a confidence interval based on that data set. Okay, well, let's take a good look here at how we can fix that and be able to see what the confidence interval is going to be. Now, in order for us to do that here, if you recall here, in just a second ago, when we went to t-interval, we had our two options at the very top. Remember, we had data and we had stats. So we had stats in our last example, but now we're given this data set here of random costs of these vehicles of a simple random sample. So instead of stats, we're now going to go over to data and hit enter. Okay, so we're now going to go over to data and hit enter. So if you notice underneath here, we have three things that we would need to fill in. We have the list, which is L1. We'll get to that in a second. Frequency and the confidence level. So the first thing that we'll need to go ahead and acknowledge is that we need to, of course, affect the list. So first things first here, we're going to hit second and mode to quit to the main screen here. We'll hit the stat key here, and we're going to go ahead and go to edit for that first list. Now, if you have things already put in from the first list, okay, from previous examples, go ahead and clear out that list. To clear out that list, we're going to highlight the list here, L1. We'll hit clear, and we'll hit enter. And that'll clear out the list there, which will now give us, be ready to use, all right? Now we're going to go ahead and put in all the numbers that we see here on the screen, okay, into our calculator. So full data set here we got to put in. Okay. All right. Again, if it's taking you some time to put in these values, you can see that on the right hand of the screen there if you're kind of a little bit behind. So no worries. So now that I have all the values there from that problem, I'm going to hit second in mode again. And once again, we're going to go ahead and hit the stat key here. Let's hit the stat key here. We're now going to go over to tests. We'll go over to T interval. Now, we do want to be underneath the data banner here for T interval. The list here is L1. Now, the list here being L1 is, again, whatever list that you set it at is whatever list that you set it at. If you have a different list, okay, go ahead and hit second and that number. So second and 1 would bring up list 1, second and 2, list 2, whatever the case may be. The next part here is frequency. Now, one thing about frequency is you will never touch this number, so leave it alone. Leave it at 1, you're just going to leave it alone. All right, so this will never be included in any of our problems here. All right, so leave it alone. It's not going to be there. All right, so it's just leave it at 1, that's fine. And of course, the confidence level here defaults to 95%, but if you need to physically change it, you can. So I'll leave it at 0.95. We'll go ahead and hit calculate. Okay. So we get an answer for this here. Again, I want to be sure that everybody's on the same page here. So please type done in the chat if you have this same exact answer. Okay. So Desmond has it good. Planet has it good. JD, do you have it? Hope she has it. Yes, that's correct, JD. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, great. So here we have our interval here. Our interval here is 1035 80 to 2477.20. Okay, so we want to go ahead and write in the interpretation for this once again. So we'll go ahead and take a look here at what that interpretation is. So that would be here. We are, and then again, it all comes down to the interpretation because now you got exactly what you want. You got the confidence interval is exactly what you wanted at the end of the day. So that's perfectly fine. But what we wanted here is the interpretation. Interpretation is pretty easy. It's like, okay, we are 95% confident that the mean cost of all mini and micro vehicles in low impact collisions is between 1035 and 2477. Okay, so again, Noting the of all portion here, especially the all portion, all mini and micro vehicles. What's that? 95%. Okay, that's between 1035 and 2477. Fine. That's going to be effectively our final answer. Again, the same thing applies as what had happened here in the last section. Where again, if we have a larger confidence level, like a 99% confidence level, then of course you're going to need a wider berth. Okay, you need to need a wider lower, and you need a lower and a higher upper essentially at the end of the day. So that's going to be a wider confidence interval is what will happen in that instance. So because you need to make extra sure it's going to be between this value and this value. Okay, fine. Okay. And that was number 33. Are there any questions about that? Any questions? Any questions? All right. Very good. All right. So those two examples there are pretty much make up the difference here for section 9.2. All right. So again, the difference here between data and stats is pretty simple. Again, data here would be like question 28, where they just give you, hey, this is the data, 1.2, or here's the stats, 1.22, and they give you the standard deviation of 0.65. So they give you everything. Whereas for data, they give you the data set, and then basically you have to enter that into a list and then go through the motions once again. So that's the big difference here between both of those. And that will effectively end chapter 9. Yeah, there's really not much to it outside of that. Now, if there needed to be any more, there really isn't, in all honesty. But what that means is that next time here, we will be starting chapter 10. Again, there is a section 9.3 here, by the way. Section 9.3 is just, again, a recap section of sections 9.1 and 9.2. So there's nothing new in section 9.3. Absolutely no new material. It's just kind of there just to kind of recap the previous two sections, and in any case. So doesn't have any bearing whatsoever. It's just like, okay, it's just a retelling of everything that you learned in chapter 9. So no point kind of going over the same stuff that we've done the past week. It's like, okay, here it is. It's already the same stuff. So not gonna beat a dead horse like this. So um all right, very good. Hopefully that's not too bad. That is pretty much all I really got for you guys here today. Today wasn't a super long section. Yeah, it wasn't. It's a pretty small section. Yeah, it looks complicated. In reality, you're really not doing a whole lot. You're not doing a ton different from what you were doing in the last section, which was also rather small. We're going to see a whole lot more of Chapter 10. Chapter 10 is going to be a little bit different. So I'm sure we're going to spend quite a bit of time just kind of going over that kind of step by step and piece by piece. There's information that we kind of need to do for setup there in that first section. Then once we have that, the rest of it goes by okay. It just takes a little time to get that set up and ready to go. So we'll see exactly how far we get here for next time. we're on really good pace here because remember, at this stage of the game, we have like 12 classes left, and we have like 6 or 7 sections left. We have 2 more chapters to go. We have chapter 10 and chapter 4. So there's not a whole lot to go in terms of new material. We're pretty much well on our way to finishing up the book with plenty of review time here for the final. So we're in good shape. That I can guarantee you. We've done really, really well here today, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you. Thank you very much. You guys have done a great job here today. Thank you for being super patient with me. You guys you guys have done really, really well. Thanks. Thanks a bunch. Okay. Alrighty. Yeah. Yeet. Let me yeet this test all the way out of here. All right. If there is a... Oh yeah, today's drink of the day was iced coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. So that was the drink of the day, iced coffee from Dunkin'. You're always welcome to ask what the drink of the day is. 100%. It is pretty nice, right? I won't lie. It's pretty good. See, coffee keeps you up a little bit. I've been up for a long time, so, you know. I swear I've been up since 2:30 this morning, but I've been up longer. I don't even remember when I went to bed. When I woke up. I woke up at 8:30 last night. I don't know. Controversial opinion. Dunkin' is better than Starbucks. Woo. Is a controversial opinion. I'll be honest with you. In terms of their coffee, I will say that Dunkin' is better than Starbucks. I will agree that the coffee part at Dunkin' is better than Starbucks. However, if you get their cappuccinos, it's better at Starbucks than it is at Dunkin'. It's kind of a weird balance. Like, it's kind of weird. So, like, both, like, their green tea matcha lattes, both of them are kind of bleh. So they kind of are the same. Starbucks burns their coffee. Yeah, that's actually one big problem with a lot of coffee chains is that they burn the living hell out of their coffee. So, and coffee or tea is not made to burn. Like, actually, temperature matters a lot when it comes to coffee. So, and tea. So, it's like if you don't brew green tea if you burn green tea, you lose all the detox properties of green tea. So, you want to keep the temperature lower as a result. So you gotta like balance it out appropriately. That's fair. If you don't like coffee, that's fine. I drink a ton of tea as well. If you don't like tea, then you don't like coffee, that's fine. There's other drinks that you can certainly get yourself into that can certainly be just as good. So lots of different things you can go and explore. There's so many drinks out there that I'm sure you're gonna latch on to types of drinks that you certainly like. Mine was milk tea when I got to Japan and I learned of like cold bottled milk tea. I was like in heaven. So because cold bottled milk tea is like that's the way to be. Dunkin' matcha at least tastes like matcha. That's true. I've had matcha at Starbucks, and it doesn't really taste like matcha. It's kind of rough and coarse. And that's not how matcha tastes. I know the taste of actual matcha, and it isn't that. That I can guarantee you. I don't know if they sell them in Japan even. I don't know if they sell matcha in Starbucks in Japan. I don't think they do because of the amount of alternatives that you can get from other places. Would blow it out of the water. It tastes kind of watered down, or so, yeah, it does. It tastes. Every time I have it, it tastes super rough. It tastes like it's like partial sandpaper. I don't like that feeling when it goes down the throat really rough. I've had my share of black coffee, but even black coffee can go down smooth. But yeah, the roughness really gets to me. I don't know if that has stuff to do with their mix or not, but it doesn't taste very good, in my opinion. So I'm like, this ain't very good. It's kind of gross. That's why if I go to like the Japanese supermarket, I get like the green tea latte and like the big old canister, because that's super smooth and it tastes exactly what it should taste like. Like it's not watered down. It tastes pretty nice. It has the right mix of matcha put into it with a dash of milk, and I'm like, okay, this is exactly what I wanted, and this is exactly how much I would get if this was cold or hot. I'm like, all right, sounds good to me. Well, yeah, you could have every aesthetics in the world, right? That's why I never look at a restaurant based on just aesthetics alone. Like, aesthetics and atmosphere is like great, okay, fine. But if your food is absolute garbage, if your drinks are absolute garbage, it doesn't matter how pretty you put a turd, how pretty a turd looks, it's still a turd. So you can shine the turd up real nice, but it still stinks, and it's still a turd. You like your tea cold? Me too. I definitely like my tea cold. On occasion, I'll like my tea hot, but most of the time I drink my tea cold, yeah. Definitely with you there. It also depends on the type of tea that I'm making. If I go to like my mom's house, then I'll make hot tea. It's pretty good. I'll eat a pretty. I'm gonna allow that. I'll eat a pretty turd. Ew. Yuck. That's gross. I've had my share of very bad food before. And let me tell you, I am not going back and eating those bad turd foods. Okay? I've had some terrible foods in my life. And there's no way you're gonna catch me eating some of the food that I've had in the past. Oh, I would never go back and eat those again. I think some of the I mean, I see dogs enjoy it. You. Yuck. Like, some of the worst food I've had is like the mostly generic stuff. Like generic stuff you get from like the supermarket or something. I don't really, yeah. Flashes to when my sister fell in a big pile. Ooh. Fell in a cow pie. Oh. She trip and fall into the cow pie? Oh, that requires a shower and a half. Oh, goodness. Probably is like super careful getting into the car because everything's full of manure. Just running and she just fell. Trauma. Like, Had a face full of cow poo. Jeez. Oh, yeah, totally traumatic. I'm gonna guess, though, one thing that is definitely true, Planet. You've never let her forget it. If you've remembered this so vividly, you've never let her forget the trauma. That's right. You certainly enjoyed it, and you certainly still make fun of her for it to this day. That's one of those things you carry on forever. You're like, hey sis, remember that time when you fell into a cow pie? I do. Tells her, I could see you like telling her boyfriend about it. You're like, hey, remember that? You're like right in front of her boy. Remember that time you fell into a cow pie? I kind of do because I was younger than that. Yeah, exactly. Your memory only needs to be kind of meh, because at the same time she'll fill in the details herself usually. And then you have to go like if you do it like your timing means a lot, right? Because if you did it like in front of her like significant other or whatever, then she has to like backtrack and explain exactly what happened, and that means you could get a fresher memory about exactly what happened. Give yourself a few tidbits of information. That would certainly make the story even better. Evil? I see nothing evil about it. I see nothing evil about it at all. I feel that there's opportunities to be gained. Sibling rivalry is certainly a game that I can certainly play. Like, my sister and I were at odds all the time. And yeah, we would... there are times we'd embarrass each other, like by telling stories and stuff. Like, I mean, look. I'll tell you the story. Like, one time I had to buy. My sister's big into birthdays, right? So, my sister was celebrating her birthday. I had to go find her a gift, right? I was like, I don't know what kind of gift to give my sister. I don't usually get gifts for her birthday, but I'm like, yeah, she really wants one this year. So I'm like, okay, let me get you a gift. I'm like, I need to think of something inventive though, because I'm like, what's a gift I can get my sister and yet at the same time can just basically absolutely ruin her. So that was kind of like my thinking. And then I saw, oh, would you look at that? And then I saw the perfect gift, so I bought it. It was pretty expensive. It was like $200 or something, 150 or 200 bucks. But I got it, right? And so birthday rolls around, and my sister is a very avid Chicago Bears fan. Okay, loves football, watches football all the time, complains constantly how the Bears quarterbacks are trash, like absolute. She's a huge fan. Right, huge fan. Has the jerseys, the 9 yards. Right, so what I bought her for that year is that I'm like, hey, something came in the mail for you. I give her the gift, right? I give her the gift. And what's in the gift? It had her name, had the address, had everything. What was it? Well, I bought her one share of the Green Bay Packers. That's what I bought her. I told her, you are now part owner of the Green Bay Packers. Congratulations. This will stick with you forever. It doesn't matter. You now own one share of the Green Bay Packers. And I remind her every year. I'm like, I know you're a Bears fan, but you are a shareholder of the Green Bay Packers. Don't forget about that. I've never let it down. Oh, it's so funny to get my sister. And my sister every time gets so mad about that too. That's the best part, is that I know that I just have that go-to source every single time. She becomes the very exactly right. Some of my cousins are super Packer fans. They're like big Packer fans. So when I got the gift, they were like they all giggled and they all laughed at her because the look on her face was priceless. She was like, it was her birthday, but she had like the angriest face you could ever see. She's like, how could you do this to me? I'm just like, yup. I'm like, at least you're an owner of a professional team. It wasn't the Bears, it's the Packers. Why are you complaining? Shouldn't you be happy? I mean, it means absolutely nothing. Being a shareholder of the Green Bay Packers means nothing. Okay, it doesn't mean a whole lot, but at least you're part of something, sure. That was the best part about that. Is like, many years later, I still remind her that she still has that share. And she does. She still owns that share of the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, that still hasn't gone away. I remember getting that in the mail too. Oh my gosh. Oh, that was the best day. I got it in the mail and she was like so mad at me. Oh, so good. I've never smiled so widely in my life. Yes. I was like, bop, bop, bop. That's right. Basically, I skipped inside the house when I saw it. I'm like, hippity hoppity, here comes your property. Here, take it. Fun times indeed. Sibling rivalry is fun. Woo! I haven't really got my sister a whole ton of gifts afterwards. That was the last major gift I really got my sister. So I can guarantee that. Alright, we're gonna end off here for today. Alright, I want to thank everybody for coming on out here to the stream once again. Thank you so much. If you need to talk to me, I'll be available later this afternoon. Thank you very much, everybody. Alright, have yourself a great one, and we will see you all on Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday. Alright, well, we're going to go ahead and start Chapter 10. Alright, have yourself a wonderful day, everybody, and you guys take care. Alright, see you later, everybody. Have a great one. Alright. Bye!